Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a breath with me. Slow, deep. Now open your ears and your heart, because today I'm talking about something people whisper about but don't often do. How to disappear and come back so different nobody recognizes you. Not to run from life, but to reinvent it. Not to hide, but to reappear stronger, clearer, and truer to who you were always meant to be. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be real with you right now. In this life, one of the hardest things to do is to step away. It feels like the world is constantly calling our name, demanding our attention, pulling us in 1,000 different directions at once. Your phone buzzes. Your friends want to hang out. Your family has expectations. Your job piles on responsibilities. And society tells you what you should be, what you should look like, how you should live. With all that noise around you, how can you ever hear yourself think, let alone discover who you truly are? That is why disappearing, not as an act of running away, but as an act of reclaiming your life, is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. It is about stepping back from distractions so you can finally give yourself the space to breathe, to grow, and to build the version of yourself you've always dreamed about. Most people are terrified of silence. They don't want to be alone with their thoughts because silence forces you to face the truth. And the truth can be uncomfortable. The truth might reveal that you've been settling for less, that you've been pleasing others more than honoring yourself, that you've been stuck in a cycle you didn't even choose. But ladies and gentlemen, the very moment you allow yourself to step away intentionally, to say, no, I need time with me, you begin the process of transformation. You stop being just a product of your environment and start becoming the architect of your destiny. Disappearing doesn't mean you vanish forever. It means you retreat for a season. Like a soldier preparing for battle. Like an artist sketching in private before showing the masterpiece. The world doesn't need to see your process. It just needs to see the results. When you step away, people may not understand. Some will call you distant. Others might think you're acting strange. And a few may even take offense. But let me tell you something. Growth is personal before it's public. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. In fact, the very people who misunderstand you today may be the ones applauding your courage tomorrow. The key is to be intentional. Don't disappear just to run from problems or hide from responsibility. Disappear to remove the noise, to cut off the distractions, and to create a sacred space where you can reset your mind, evaluate your path, and plan your next steps with clarity. We live in a world that glorifies busyness. If you're not constantly available, constantly producing, constantly showing up on social media, people start questioning your worth. But hear me out. Being busy is not the same as being effective. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is step back, shut out the noise, and invest in your inner world. That's how you sharpen your vision. That's how you strengthen your spirit. That's how you prepare to come back, not just as the same person in a new outfit, but as a transformed being with new wisdom, new power, and new purpose. So when I tell you to disappear, I'm not telling you to escape. I'm telling you to design your disappearance. Schedule solitude like an appointment you can't cancel. Cut back on the endless scrolling, the meaningless conversations, the environments that drain you instead of fuel you. Replace that with quiet study, prayer, meditation, journaling, or whatever practice keeps you grounded. This is not selfish. It is survival. Because if you never pause to reset, you will keep running on empty. And an empty soul cannot serve its purpose. Think of the caterpillar. It doesn't turn into a butterfly while running around. It disappears into a cocoon. That disappearance is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the hidden space where the miracle of transformation begins. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to transform yourself, you cannot just disappear without direction. You need a compass, a guide that points you forward when you feel lost, when you feel weak, and when the world tries to pull you in circles. A compass doesn't show every step. It doesn't lay out the whole road, but it always points north. And in your life, that compass must be built on 3 unshakable pillars: clarity, discipline, and service. Without these, you can step away, you can retreat, you can hide, but you will return the same person you left us. With them, you will return stronger, wiser, and ready to step into the life you were destined for. Clarity is the first step. You cannot become who you are supposed to be until you know who you are. Too many people live their lives wearing masks, hiding behind roles, following scripts written by parents, teachers, bosses, or society. They go to jobs they hate. They live in routines that drain them. They chase dreams that aren't even theirs. And then they wonder why they feel empty. Clarity comes when you strip all that away and ask the hard questions. Who am I when nobody is watching? What do I truly value? What is the fire inside me that keeps burning even when the world tries to put it out? When you find those answers, you stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. You stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes only to what aligns with your true north. That is clarity. But clarity alone is not enough. You can know who you are, you can know what you want, and still waste your life if you don't have discipline. Discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. It is the quiet muscle that carries you forward on the days you don't feel motivated. Motivation will get you started, but discipline will keep you going when your body says no, when your mind says quit, and when your friends say it's not worth it. Discipline is choosing to practice when no one is clapping, choosing to work when no one is watching, choosing to keep showing up even when progress feels invisible. And let me tell you this, discipline doesn't take away your freedom, it creates it. Because the more disciplined you become, the more control you have over your future. The dream you want will not bow to excuses, it bows to consistency. And discipline is simply consistency in action. Now, let's talk about service, because this is the piece most people forget. You don't transform just for you. You transform so you can give, so you can lift someone else, so you can take the strength you built and turn it into hope for others. If clarity tells you who you are and discipline builds who you need to become, then service reveals why it all matters. A life that is only about yourself will always feel shallow. But when you use your transformation to make someone else's load lighter, to inspire someone who thought it couldn't be done, to guide someone who is walking in the same darkness you escaped, that's when your change takes on true meaning. That's when you stop chasing success and start living significant. So ladies and gentlemen, set your compass. Find clarity so you stop wandering. Build discipline so you stop quitting. Embrace service so your growth has purpose beyond your own reflection. Life without direction is like sailing without a map. You might drift, you might move, but you will never arrive. But with clarity, discipline, and service, you carry a compass that will never fail you, no matter how dark the night or how long the journey. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear me on this. Transformation does not happen in one giant leap. It happens in whispers, in small shifts, in daily decisions that look ordinary, but end up changing the entire trajectory of your life. And the 2 most powerful tools you have for this are your language and your habits. The words you speak and the routines you practice are constantly shaping your identity. You don't even notice it most of the time, but every I can't, every maybe tomorrow, every excuse you repeat is building walls around your potential. At the same time, every positive word, every small act of discipline, every choice to move forward, even just an inch, is laying the bricks for your transformation. The reality is, You are what you repeatedly say, and you are what you repeatedly do. Think about the way people talk about themselves. How many times have you heard someone say, I'm just not good at that, or that's not for people like me? Words like that are not harmless. They are instructions you're giving to your brain, orders you're planting in your subconscious. If you tell yourself long enough that you can't, eventually you won't even try. But when you begin to change your language, when you shift from I can't to I'm learning, from I failed to I'm growing, from I'm not ready to I'm preparing, you literally rewire your mind. You create new possibilities simply by changing the way you speak about yourself. Your words set the boundaries of your life. Speak small, live small. Speak growth, live growth. But language alone is not enough if your habits don't line up. See, habits are the proof of what you believe about yourself. If you tell yourself you're disciplined, but you hit snooze 10 times every morning, your habits are louder than your words. If you tell yourself you want success, but you waste every evening scrolling through meaningless distractions, your actions are contradicting your intention. Transformation requires alignment. Your language and your habits must point in the same direction. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to change everything at once. You just have to change enough to shift momentum. Tiny habits done consistently become mighty forces. 1 page read every day becomes wisdom. 10 push-ups every morning becomes strength. 15 minutes of prayer, meditation, or reflection becomes clarity. What looks small today compounds into greatness tomorrow. The problem is most of us underestimate the power of small actions. We think change has to be dramatic. We wait for a perfect moment, for inspiration, for a breakthrough. But the truth is, the breakthrough comes after the small, often boring, daily steps that no one sees. It's the little victories that give you evidence that you are becoming someone new. When you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, your brain begins to trust you. You stop being the person who talks about change and start being the person who lives it. And don't forget this, every habit you build is casting a vote for the person you want to be. Every time you choose to speak with courage instead of fear, every time you choose to act with discipline instead of laziness, every time you choose to invest in yourself instead of wasting your time, you are voting for the future version of you. The more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. Until one day, it's not just what you do, it's who you are. You don't just say you're disciplined, you are disciplined. You don't just say you're confident, you are confident. You don't just dream of transformation, you live transformed. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to rewire your identity, start with your language. Guard it like treasure and let it only reflect growth. Then back it up with small daily habits that move you toward the life you want. Speak it, do it, repeat it, and before you know it, the person you dreamed of becoming will be standing right there in the mirror. Ladies and gentlemen, there is one resource you cannot earn back no matter how rich, powerful, or talented you become, and that resource is time. You can lose money and earn it again. You can lose opportunities and create new ones, but once a day is gone, it is gone forever. And if you are serious about transformation, if you are serious about disappearing to reemerge as a better version of yourself, you have to learn how to protect your time and invest it wisely. Your time must become sacred, untouchable, guarded like treasure, because in truth, that is what it is. Nothing will define your growth more than how you spend the hours nobody else sees. The tragedy is that most people treat time like it's cheap. They give it away to every distraction, every demand, every meaningless activity that shows up. They will say yes to things that don't align with their vision. They will waste hours scrolling through screens. They will let other people's agendas control their calendar. Then they look up years later and wonder why nothing has changed. Ladies and gentlemen, transformation cannot survive in that environment. You can't grow if you keep giving away the very minutes meant to build you. You must decide that your time is non-negotiable. That means if you've blocked out an hour for your growth, whether it's reading, exercising, writing, praying, studying, or building your craft, you show up like it's a meeting with the most important person in your life, because it is. That appointment is with your future self. And if you miss it, you cheat the person you are trying to become. So, work on a podcast, Paul. We'll make them blood. Now, I know some people say they don't have time, but let's be honest. Most of the time, it's not about not having time. It's about not managing time. We all get the same 24 hours, but the difference between the person who transforms and the person who stays the same is how they spend it. It's not about cramming more into your day. It's about cutting out what doesn't serve you. You don't need more hours. You need more discipline in how you use the hours you already have. Trade 30 minutes of complaining for 30 minutes of creating. Trade an hour of gossip for an hour of growth. Trade 2 hours of distraction for 2 hours of dedication. Those trades are what build transformation. So, when you protect your time, you will face resistance. People will not always understand. They will call you selfish. They will say you're too busy. They will accuse you of changing. And you know what? They're right. You are changing. You are choosing not to spend your life in circles. You are choosing to rise. And you cannot rise if you allow every voice, every distraction, and every demand to steal your hour. Sometimes protecting your time means learning how to say no without guilt. It means recognizing that every yes is really a no to something else. When you say yes to distractions, you're saying no to growth. When you say yes to negativity, you're saying no to clarity. But when you say yes to your transformation, you are saying no to the old version of yourself that kept you stuck. Investing your time is not just about discipline, it's also about vision. Don't just cut out the things that waste your hours. Pour those hours into things that multiply you. Read the book that feeds your mind. Practice the skill that builds your craft. Build the relationships that strengthen your spirit. Spend time with people who inspire you, not drain you. Every minute invested in those things pays dividends in your future. Transformation is not built overnight, but every small investment compounds until one day people look at you and say, how did you become this person? And the answer is simple. You stopped wasting your time and started investing it. So guard your time, honor your time, and treat it as sacred, because every second you protect is another brick in the foundation of your transformation. Your time is your life. And when you master your time, you master your future. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest influences on your transformation will not be what you do alone, but who you choose to walk with. People shape people. Energy transfers. The voices around you become the voices inside you. You cannot build a new life if you surround yourself with people who are committed to the old version of you. If you are serious about disappearing to transform, you have to curate your community with wisdom, courage, and honesty. Some people cannot come with you where you are going. That doesn't make them bad. It just means their season in your life is complete. And if you hold on to them out of guilt or fear, you risk holding yourself back from the destiny that's waiting on you. We've all heard the phrase, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Whether we want to believe it or not, that statement carries truth. If the people closest to you are always negative, always complaining, always making excuses, eventually you will start to sound like them. If the people you surround yourself with are constantly doubting, constantly fearful, constantly small-minded, You will shrink your own dreams just to fit in. But when you choose to be around people who believe in growth, who encourage faith, who chase vision, you begin to rise with them. They don't let you settle. They call you higher. They remind you of who you are when you forget. That's the power of community. It can either pull you down into mediocrity or lift you up into greatness. Now, here's the hard part. Sometimes the people who drag you back are the ones closest to you. Family, friends, co-workers, people who have loved you in their own way. They may not understand why you're changing. They may feel threatened because your transformation makes them look at their own stagnation. They may try to guilt you back into old patterns. And in those moments, you need courage. You need the courage to say, I love you, but I can't stay here. You don't have to cut everyone off with anger, but you do have to set boundaries with wisdom. Boundaries are not rejection. They are protection. They protect your growth, your focus, and your future. And let me remind you, curating your community is not just about removing the wrong people. It's about intentionally seeking the right people. Transformation cannot happen in isolation forever. Yes, there's a season of disappearing, a season of cocooning, but eventually you need community that reflects your new identity. Seek out mentors who are already where you want to be. Surround yourself with friends who inspire you to be disciplined and focused. Build connections with people who celebrate your growth instead of competing with it. These are the individuals who add fuel to your fire, who won't let you quit when it gets hard, who push you toward your destiny instead of pulling you back into your history. Think about it like a garden. If you plant good seeds but surround them with weeds, the weeds will choke out the growth. But if you plant those same seeds in fertile soil with the right sunlight, the right water, and the right care, those seeds flourish into something beautiful. You are the seed. Your habits, your words, your vision, those are the roots. But your community is the soil. Without the right soil, your transformation will always struggle. With the right soil, your transformation will be unstoppable. So, ladies and gentlemen, curate your community wisely. Be brave enough to distance yourself from people who keep you tied to the past. Be humble enough to learn from those ahead of you. Be wise enough to surround yourself with those who cheer when you win, not those who feel threatened by your progress. Because in the end, the company you keep will either confirm your future or cancel it. Ladies and gentlemen, when you disappear to transform, that journey is not just about leaving, it is also about how you return. Too many people believe transformation is about coming back to show off, to prove wrong the people who doubted them, to flash the results like a trophy. But that is not true transformation. That is just ego wearing new clothes. Real transformation is not about standing above others. It is about kneeling down to lift others up. The measure of your growth is not just in how far you rise, but in how many hands you extend to pull others with you. That is why when you reappear, you must reappear with humility, gratitude, and service. Humility is understanding that the journey was never just about your strength. Yes, you worked hard. Yes, you disciplined yourself, but grace carried you. Opportunities appeared that you did not manufacture. People planted seeds in you long before you knew you would need them. Every breakthrough came from a combination of your effort and the support of something bigger than yourself, whether that be God, life, or destiny. So when you stand tall, don't forget to bend low. Speak with the same kindness you wanted when you were struggling. Remember the nights you almost gave up. And let that memory make you gentle with the person still fighting their battle. Transformation makes you powerful, but humility keeps you human. Now let's talk about gratitude. Gratitude is the fuel that keeps transformation alive. When you repent, don't just focus on what you gained, acknowledge where you came from. Thank the people who stood by you, even if it was only one or two. Thank the process that taught you discipline. Thank the failures that gave you wisdom. Gratitude keeps you grounded. And grounded people are the ones who can stand the tallest without falling. A life without gratitude turns every success into arrogance. But a life with gratitude turns every success into a blessing to be shared. And then there is service, the highest expression of transformation. The point of becoming better is not just to enjoy a better life, but to make life better for others. When you use your new strength, your new wisdom, your new clarity to uplift someone else, your transformation multiplies. You stop being a single story and start becoming a chain reaction. Maybe it's mentoring a young person who feels lost. Maybe it's encouraging a friend who is in the same darkness you once walked through. Maybe it's creating opportunities, teaching what you've learned, or simply being an example of resilience and faith. Service is not always grand. It is often small, quiet acts that ripple into big impacts. But without service, transformation stays selfish. With service, transformation becomes legacy. Reappearing with humility also means you don't have to shout about your change. The world will see it without you forcing it. Your presence will speak louder than your words. Your consistency will prove what your silence once prepared. There is no need to boast because real growth is undeniable. People will notice the peace in your spirit, the discipline in your habits, the confidence in your walk. And when they ask you how you did it, that's your moment to serve, not by bragging, but by teaching, guiding, and inspiring. So ladies and gentlemen, when you reappear after disappearing to transform, remember this: you are not returning to show you are better than anyone else. You are returning to show what is possible for everyone else. Your transformation is not just your story. It is a torch to light the path for others still walking in the dark. Walk back into the world with humility in your heart, gratitude in your spirit, and service in your hands. Because the greatest version of you is not the one that stands alone at the top, but the one that uses their climb to pull others higher.